and that excitement that you play with, is part of that kind of also sending a message to the league that, hey, these aren't the old Timberwolves. Like, this is a new day.
Yeah, these ain't the Timberwolves that been losing since, like, I heard they haven't been winning since like 03 or something, 04. I was like 3 years old. Yeah, this not the Timberwolves that didn't have swag since 04. Like, nah.
While many haven't been paying close attention, during this year they've been emerging as a dangerous playoff team.
And I'm putting that in my teammates. And Pat Bev coming with a lot of swag, and he putting that in the teammates.
Off that, do you feel like you guys unlocked Karl's swag?
Yeah, definitely.
In the last few years, Minnesota has had the worst record in the conference, and it's not even close. And through the years of losing was a common theme perpetually haunting the franchise, being merely some form of stability. Since the days of Garnett, the team would spend the next 17 years making the playoffs just one time, in the process going through 10 coaches and 8 executives. With every new face was the common denominator and team owner Glenn Taylor, who didn't exactly cover himself in glory with the people he hired to run the team. From the mid-2000s to 2013, Minnesota had a total of 8 top 10 picks. And while the draft is always a crapshoot, their success rate netting 1 star through it all was painful. That one all-star was UCLA's Kevin Love, traded for OJ Mayo on the night of the 2008 NBA draft, which was a huge success for Minnesota. In the second round, their GM Kevin McHale also drafted European pick man Nikola Pekovic with the 31st overall pick. 3 years later, not only had Love grown into an all-star, but a franchise cornerstone. After winning Most Improved Player, he would soon be averaging 26 points and 12 rebounds a game at 23 years old. But with that, Love also had his limits. On the defensive side, he was labeled a tweener, not an effective enough rim protector to be a 5, but also not good enough guarding in space. And while he had a monster 2012 season, 2 broken right hands in the same season, and then a knee injury limited him to just 18 games in 2013. The good news would be, when he returned, the team had much improved. While in need of perimeter creation, they signed 30-year-old guard Kevin Martin to a 4-year deal. And as for our good friend Nikola Pekovic, he had built the nickname The Godfather, who was also dealing with injuries himself, but was putting up 17 and 9 starting at the 5. While they would rank 11th in net rating, winning 40 games for the first time in 9 years, a 40 and 42 finish was far out from the playoffs. And now in the middle of a 10-year playoff drought, Love wanted out. Through years of losing, a very middling supporting cast, and a rocky relationship with ownership, the Love era in Minnesota ended that summer. While being sent off to Cleveland to play with LeBron and Kyrie, his former squad got the 2 most recent first overall picks, Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett. While they would soon give up on the latter less than a year later, Wiggins would go on to win Rookie of the Year as the team not only finished 16 and 66, but won the lottery. Getting control of the first overall pick, they selected 19-year-old Kentucky big man Karl Anthony Towns. And as a rookie, he was amazing, showing off an all-around offensive package before becoming the unanimous Rookie of the Year selection. In the following campaign, Towns would join Shaquille O'Neal on a very short list of players to average at least 25 points and 12 rebounds at 21 years of age. With back-to-back rookie standouts, Minnesota had one of the most tantalizing young duos in basketball. However, they did disappoint on the defensive end. With that came former Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau with the solution. In Thibodeau's first year at the team, the fans would soon see the development of another highly prolific draft selection. In fact, from the same class as Wiggins. Another UCLA product, Zach LaVine was a riveting leaper with a smooth scoring arsenal from the perimeter. While holding the honor of leading a Tom Thibodeau team in minutes, he was scoring 19 a game at 21 years of age, but tragically tore his ACL in February. And with Thibodeau not only their head coach, but GM, oh boy. That summer, he made an executive decision, and that was not only moving LaVine, but their next 2 lottery picks in 2016, Chris Dunn, and their 2017 pick over to Chicago for none other than 3-time All-Star Jimmy Butler. The acquisition made their intentions clear. With their recent 5th overall pick, playing just 17 minutes a game as a rookie, he was underwhelming, showing that maybe the draft wasn't the best all-out approach to get out of the drought. Obtaining a proven All-Star and veteran guiding the group in their young star duo sounded a lot more practical. Plus, what the trade also ushered was the Timber Bulls movement, with the new overseer replenishing his roster with a collection of Bulls players he once coached. By February, they were 36 and 25, with 5 more wins already than their 2017 total. But with just 2 months left in the year, Jimmy went down. While they were a 34 and 22 team with their veteran leader, they struggled to win in his absence, losing 13 of 23, in a West that decided the 3 through 9 seeds by just a few games. They were on the brink of finishing finishing 9th, with other teams inching closer out. So with 3 games left, Butler, like Batman, returns, capping off the year with a 31-point finale versus Denver that decided who would get the number 8 seed. The series that followed versus the Rockets started off really close in game 1, but after narrow defeat soon became a forgettable 5-game exit. And while they had finally ended the 13-year playoff drought, Butler wanted out. With his acquisition entered the pressure of winning, and having traded years worth of lottery picks away, their franchise cornerstones were expected to fit together and grow with one another, making the trio one of the best in the NBA. Whether it was Jimmy's leadership style not fitting in with Towns and Wiggins, contract negotiations, or the disconnect between Butler, Thibodeau, and the rest of the team, the 28-year-old was offered a contract extension which he declined with just a year left on his deal, making it pretty clear maybe this guy doesn't want to stay. Through it all though, the team invested too much to give up on it all so fast, so they played hardball on Butler. The lasting moment of the disenfranchised star's tenure, an infamous practice tirade, returning to beat the starters with the 3rd unit, as he cursed everybody out in the gym wearing a Rolex. The ultimate sign of disrespect, having just danced over the team, Butler finally got his wish a month later with a trade to Philly for Robert Covington and Dario Saric. After such a turbulent start to the year, things did not get much better. As Towns continued to establish himself one of the league's most bright young bigs, Wiggins struggles with shot selection, and scoring efficiency became more of his team's detriment than something they called potential. While on defense, you could label him disengaged. Wiggins had the physical tools, earning the nickname Maple Jordan, but since getting that nice big max contract with Butler coming into town, he regressed. With the initial investment blowing up the way it did, Thibodeau's Minnesota tenure would quickly become an epic collapse. They would finish 2019 36-46, giving them the 11th pick in the upcoming drafts. As for the new executive, it was Daryl Morey's right-hand man, Gerson Rosas. After becoming the first Latino to run an NBA team, Rosas made waves with his bold pursuit, the only way things were done in Houston. On 2019 draft night, he was seen trading Dario Saric with the 11th pick to move up to number 6. The class was polarizing outside the top 3, but he liked Texas Tech guard Jarrett Culver. In the second, he then grabbed UW's Jalen Noel 42nd, signing the undrafted LSU big Naz Reid to a 2-way deal after. Reid, a former 5-star recruit at Roselle Catholic in New Jersey, would get the team up with the state's other highly touted big man in Towns. In the office, meanwhile, Rosas was in heavy pursuit of D'Angelo Russell, who ultimately decided on Golden State and their championship roots on a sign-and-trade deal. Without him, the TWolves would begin 2020 10-8, but soon after were on 2 separate 11-game losing streaks. An awful sign for a young team and an experienced head coach in Ryan Saunders. Jarrett Culver was struggling mightily, and as the year continued to sputter, the pressure was on. The newest general manager needed to start building his own team. He got started by jumping into a 4-team deal with Denver, Atlanta, and more, moving Robert Covington and Jordan Bell, and acquiring Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Juancho Hernan-Gomez. But days later sat the biggest move ahead of the trade deadline, and that was saying goodbye to Andrew Wiggins and the money he was owed. Finally! While Wiggins would get a chance of redemption in Golden State, the Timberwolves were finally getting the point guard they had wanted in D'Angelo Russell. To make it happen, they handed over a top 3 protected first-round pick. And while that selection would be just a year later in 2021, the trade would soon become necessary. Like Chris Dunn, Jarrett Culver served as a reminder the draft again is a crapshoot, and the Timberwolves, almost no matter who, cannot draft. After playing a lead role in creating a vibrant culture in Brooklyn, the former All-Star was one of Towns' best friends, a year younger than him with years left on his deal. What's more, while nobody knew it at the time, he would soon come to aid in Minnesota in the most difficult time in their franchise player's life. The spring of 2020 would be a season of grief for Towns and his family, losing his dear mother and 7 other family members to the pandemic. And for Russell, a player who'd been looking for a place to stay in the league, he appeared to be a beacon of support and a breath of fresh air for Towns as somebody he could count on moving forward. Before then, with a wrist injury, he would play just 1 game with D'Lo, as the league soon shut down as the team finished the year 9-37. In August, they would have just 14% odds of the top pick. And surely enough, in the top 4, the last 2 teams left would be Minnesota and the team they traded Wiggins to in the Warriors. Not only did Golden State have the TWolves' next lottery pick, but if they got the first, it would be quite the way to rebound after Kevin Durant left. Thankfully though, when the second pick was revealed, it would be Golden State's, and with that, for the second time in 5 years, Minnesota had the first overall selection. The top of the class was polarizing. surprising. Between Georgia guard Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and James Wiseman, the possibility of trading out seemed an option, but the pick was Edwards. A highly skilled 19-year-old guard with the physical build and athletic ability to be a prolific scorer. Many worried about his shot selection, motor, and potential outside scoring and how it would translate at the next level. The 19-year-old's interviews, though, cleared up any of that concern, never failing to crack a smile with his high spirit. Remarks like, "To be honest, I can't really watch basketball," didn't go well with media headlines, but the addition would certainly be invigorating nonetheless. They started the year 2-0, before injuries would signal a catastrophic year. While Towns had missed just 5 games his first 4 years in the league, wrist issues forced him out 20 more games to start 2021. In his absence, they would then go 4-18, and when he returned in February, Russell had just left the lineup the game before to undergo knee surgery. 2 weeks later, his head coach Ryan Saunders was fired. People expected Rosas to then promote lead assistant David Vanderpool interim, which was what made the hiring of Chris Finch mere hours later so shocking. While Finch and Rosas worked together with the Rockets, leapfrogging a minority candidate who had already been there in favor of a lesser-known Caucasian coach in the middle of the season was met with a ton of criticism, with those who spoke highly of Vanderpool outraged. While inheriting his predecessor's discontented staff and frustrated roster, the locker room was not going to be an easy one for the rookie coach to win over. Days later, Malik Beasley, having a career year as a starter, was suspended 12 games after pleading guilty to a felony. The cascading effect of the injuries, losing and dysfunction was taxing. While their first pick in Anthony Edwards stayed positive, he deserved better. Amid all the turmoil, Edwards struggled to find consistency. While very few realized it at the time, the hiring of Finch would soon turn out to be exactly what this team needed. Working with Cat Moore from the perimeter, the offense was more creative and intentional, as his compelling perimeter talent in Edwards saw the most growth of any rookie, shooting up to the top of the Rookie of the Year race. When Dealer returned and played with Cat, the team finished 11-11, and right at the same time, the biggest news of them all broke. Glenn Taylor, after over 3 decades, was selling the team. The new owners, and Mark Lurie and Alex Rodriguez, would buy it in installments before taking full control in 2024. While better ownership and the big ticket getting his jersey retired sound a lot better than past ownership, though, the biggest fear of them all emerged: team relocation. But subduing that fear and the loss of the number 7 overall pick was Anthony Edwards. The Georgia guard had quickly become a star in the making, and with the personality and spirit he invited, it was everything the team needed to turn the culture around. There was also another rookie that the fans loved: the long, athletic 20-year-old forward Jaden McDaniels, a raw but coveted wing player showing promise as a 3-point shooter. The most fascinating thing, though, was the partnership between Towns and Russell. 20 months after D'Lo came, they had played in just 25 games together. Fans were just hoping the team could finally stay healthy, imagining one of the league's most versatile and high-powered offenses. They did, however, need to fix the defense, not just the personnel, but the scheme. Rosas would then move Ricky Rubio to Cleveland for a younger Wayne and Taurean Prince. Weeks later, the team then said goodbye to Rosas' first big swing. With waning confidence and a lack of improvement, and then an ankle injury, Culver got buried pretty quickly on the bench, sending him off to Memphis with Juancho Hernan-Gomez for veteran hustleman Patrick Beverley, quickly becoming the team's best point-of-attack defender in years. The last move, though, of them all was a Jared Vanderbilt extension for 3 years, $13 million. Vanderbilt proved valuable in his athleticism and high motor. After being given up on through years of injury, the financial investment on Minnesota's end gave him a chance to show. While fans were hoping for a better year of health, though, stunning news broke. Gerson Rosas, the GM who had just spent the last 28 months building the team, had been fired just days before training camp. While he had spent the morning chopping up culture building with his players, the headlines revealed a dysfunctional front office, messy relationships, and an affair with a member inside the organization. The interim replacement, Sachin Gupta, was the same man he prevented from leaving the organization just months before, unwilling to give the Houston Rockets any free agency intel. Phew. The season couldn't start soon enough, and when it did, somehow the results turned out to be even more stunning. While the expectation was a high-powered offense, it ran far from it, the bottom of the league in the half court. Outside Cat, they were in a 3-point shooting funk. The good news, though, was a top 10 top 10 defensive search. Alright, creating turnovers while doing their best to hide the unit's limitations through all the chaos. With both McDaniels and Vanderbilt, the de facto rookie coach had two long, athletic wing players at his disposal. He rebranded the defense to an aggressive style, blitzing ball handlers, scrambling all over the floor, while Beverly's presence was felt holding the team accountable, and Vanderbilt had become a fan favorite for his unlimited hustle and his rebounding flair, often drawing Dennis Rodman comps. McDaniels was fouling out every other night, but he too made a big defensive impact guarding the opposing team's best players. Chris Finch even got the buy-in from D'Angelo Russell. Tagged a bad defender through his career, D'Lo is taking on one of the biggest defensive assignments. Though he had never been a good on-ball defender, with his intellect, he carried the responsibility of overseeing the chaos, with alert reads and rotations and communication with his fellow comrades. However, fatigue and film study would eventually set in, which really limited the effect in this other scheme. While the defense would take a dip post-New Year's, the bright side was they were learning how to play off of one another offensively. With the talent and coaching realizing its potential, the high-powered transition group got to see what their former and Rosas envisioned. Running the show has been D'Angelo Russell, the NBA's most forgotten star. This season though, D'Lo has been a surgical playmaker. Whether it be entry passes the cat in the post, pick and roll with the team's three different big men, or the simple transition plays, while Russell's shot has not been falling, he's embraced his role as the facilitator off of his two co-stars, and in turn it's paid dividends, as this Minnesota club is shooting up the ranks of the league's top offenses. He may only be shooting 41% from the field, but this guy is not only their main man running the offense, but in a new setting, the veteran guard is playing his most impactful basketball yet. Last week, Towns was busy dropping 60 points in San Antonio as he was winning player of the week. And with how quickly Cat can knock down a three-pointer off movement, his aggression driving to the rim has been the next step. Towns is a tough cat, no pun intended. The better spacing, playmaking, and shot making have all amplified his truly one-of-a-kind perimeter skill set. While playing through the hurts and pains at a high level, evolving and improving his game while stepping up as a leader, he has been a clear-cut best player on a quality playoff team. The secret has been the support around him. For Minnesota, it's the combo of much improved coaching, better health, and personnel gelling together. The biggest difference of them all this year though has been, along with better health, a much better bench. The birthday boy specifically, Taurean Prince, was not good to start the season, but as of the last few months, he has played a vital role on both ends. As for Jalen Noel, he's a certified bucket. While Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels, and more have all brought a lot more offensively. This team has glaring strengths in their scheme, ranking number 1 this year in points per game, and 6th in offensive rating. And even crazier, since New Year's, do you want to take a guess where they rank in offensive rating? Number 1. Russell can start the transition plays, while the likes of Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns finish them. They shoot a bunch of threes, where they struggled earlier in the year, but have picked it up a ton the last few months. And oh yeah, they have a defensive identity, ranking 12th in the league on that end. A lot of it also due to the personnel has been they give up way too many offensive rebounds, as they foul a ton, and I just watched Dwight Powell tear them up offensively on repeat for the last 2 hours, and I can assure you, it was also painful. Their primary backup big, Naz Reid, has built a strong rapport with their guards in the pick and roll, where he can bring a ton of value offensively. But defensively, he does not bring the size, rim protection, rebounding, or any of those basic necessities which this roster just doesn't have enough of. But through all of their strengths and weaknesses, this team has overcome the odds. After a 24-25 start, people were ready to give up. For years, injuries have paralyzed any sense of hope. Like, the only player who really stayed healthy through it all the time was Andrew Wiggins, with their stars leaving for better opportunity. Since then, they have gone 18-5, with the best record in the West post All-Star break. Now, that opportunity is Minnesota. Maybe not for big-name players in the market, but for D'Lo, it's home. Towns, where he's proven himself a player and leader, while Edwards, one of the league's top rising stars. Anthony is getting there, and when that scoring efficiency gets closer to 57 or 58% true shooting, and the defensive effort and understanding is more consistent, he is very easily going to be one of the top players in the game. When he takes that jump, Oh boy. Sitting comfortable currently in the top 7, it's gonna be a tough feat catching up to Dallas at number 5, 2.5 games ahead. But that is not the point of this video. This was how the Minnesota Timberwolves not only finally became good again, but got it all together. Well, maybe not everything. This offseason, they're about to have their 29th GM in the last 7 years, but on the other hand, Chris Finch has been awesome. So for the newest GM coming in the offseason, hopefully it's a good one. And for my Minnesota fans out there, you guys totally deserve this. But with that being said, let's hope they don't find a way to screw this up.
Like, he just off the charts, you know what I'm saying? So he gonna make everybody have swag. He make my swag go up. And I feel like my swag is as high as it can get.
If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like if you want to see more analysis and retrospective videos like this. And of course, as always, I'll see you next time.